How's it going, everyone? This is your Astrology Horoscope for the weekend of August 3rd and 4th, 2024. I'm astrologer Alex Skyles, and welcome to the Moon Base. Hope you guys are doing great. Good to be here with all of you on the Leo new moon. I almost said full moon. And, of course, we just came off the Venus in Leo square Uranus. So this new moon is going to be happening at 12 degrees. Venus will still be at the 29th degree of Leo as this new moon happens. So relationships are involved heavily with this new moon being at 12 degrees. That is the Pisces degree. That's the Neptune degree. So we have to look at Neptune being in Pisces. We have to look at Saturn being in Pisces. So Neptune and Saturn are involved in this new moon big time. And I think too, with everything that we've gone through since the last new moon and the Mars square Uranus, or Mars Uranus conjunction, with the new moon in Cancer, and those two full moons in Capricorn. Now we're in, Aquarius and Leo, full moons and new moons. So right before this new moon happens, this moon will oppose Pluto, and I think we can kind of feel the drum of Pluto in Aquarius, coming to its close here before Pluto makes its last ingress into Capricorn for good. So I think too, because Pluto is still involved with this new moon, because this new moon is going to have to oppose Pluto right before this new moon occurs. So the outer planets are very much involved. All the outer planets, Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, and Pluto, are all very much linked to this new moon. So it is like massive collective shifts. And over the past month, that Mars-Uranus conjunction was like a quantum collective expansion. That's the only way I could put it. Things are accelerating so rapidly in evolution and the forward movement and the expansion of an awakening, and I think looking at this new moon being at 12 degrees, the Pisces, the Neptune degree, and with Neptune in Pisces and Saturn in Pisces retrograde, that quantum expansion and that quantum awakening, I don't know, it's the only way I could put it. It's just been so rapid and so fast, or it's just been this long buildup where it's like now is that moment where like more and more people, like at a much quicker rapid rate, are starting to be able to see things for what they are more clearly. And I think with this new moon, being at the 12th degree, it does feel like the illusions are dissolving much more rapidly than we may think. And I think too, with Neptune and Saturn being retrograde, it's like with that dissolution comes a shock. And of course, we've had so many shocks already with Uranus having to deal with the personal planets, and we just came off Venus to its square to Uranus. So, and of course, with Venus at the 29th degree, as this new moon happening, as the new moon happens, so there is some faded resolutions that have to play out here with this new moon in our relationships and any sort of partnerships, or any sort of place where there may be valuable things or creative, value that, really assessing the creative potential and the creative value, and also too with Venus and Leo, we've been able to expand that creative energy, and it's been kind of forced, and it's like if you've just been stuck in, not willing to change and move, that Venus Uranus is definitely been this kind of massive shake. It's like, fuck, we gotta like wake up. We have to be willing to actually step outside the box and step outside the you know, the same old routine, the same old pattern, especially in relationships. Like, because even in relationships, yeah, we get into our own personal routine, but of course too in relationships and partnerships, you know, you develop these routines, and the monotony occurs, and it's like that is the Venus Uranus square energy. It's just like, fuck, like we have to like change things up here, you know, in every which way possible. Let's try something different, you know. Let's, you know, create something different from a different angle. So this has been a massive awakening to creatively, you know, finding different ways to express yourself and different ways to tap into that heart energy to really, you know, expand the value of your own creative expression. So, and I think too, Mercury 3 degrees away from its retrograde here, we're looking at that as well over this next month. That Mercury's going to be retrograding through Leo, you know, and really thinking about, you know, Mercury will square Uranus twice. So it's going to bring up a lot of that energy that we just went through with the Venus square Uranus. So we have to keep in mind what we just experienced with this past week with Venus squaring Uranus. We have to keep in mind with Mercury as it squares Uranus twice. It'll square as it retrogrades, and it will square when it comes direct. We have to keep in mind what we just experienced, because then, you know, once we're in that phase of Mercury coming back into Leo and squaring Uranus, it's like really being able to communicate that experience and being able to communicate what we just went through and being able to put the pieces together and understand it and connect the dots, because that intensity that we just went through with that Venus square Uranus, so like we can't fully make sense of it yet, you know, and all the things that are going on in the world, we fully can't make sense of it yet. So that's what that Mercury retrograde is going to be all about, you know. Of course, with this new moon in Leo, we're talking about pride. There is this new sense of pride that I'm seeing across the waves, you know, of the collective. It's like there's this new sense of there's definitely a big renewal here, with like some sort of newfound strength towards, you know, being prideful about a particular thing or a particular idea or a particular group. So this is where we get into the Leo Aquarius dynamic, is, you know, the pride. You know, I guess that's what they call like a lion pride, like, you know, a group of lions, like the pride, you know. So there is this new sense of pride. I think that from that intensity that we've just gone through over the past month with all these Uranus conjunctions and squares, you know, it's definitely kind of challenged us and shook us up a bit, you know. It's kind of like, you know, you take a couple hits and it's just like, no, I'm good. I got this. I could still keep going. Let's keep battling away here. You know, so we have Mars coming on to Aldebaran too. So, you know, there is this kind of protective layer, even when, you know, the intensity or you feel attacked in some sort of way, there's still, you know, a protective layer and a protective element to Mars right now, you know. So being able to use that positive, good, you know, angelic energy in a protective way, even if things, you know, get heated or conflicts occur with Mars Aldebaran, you know, at least to win the battle, you know, it's to use, you know, goodwill. I think Mars Aldebaran is definitely about, you know, fighting a battle and winning a battle out of goodwill and good faith, you know, and good honor. And also being divinely protected through that battle and through that intensity. So with this new moon at 12 degrees, being the Pisces Neptune degree too, it's like we have to surrender. You know, of course, with this, you know, new sense of pride that's come through the collective. I mean, we're seeing it too in Venezuela and the whole breakdown of that. You know, of course, people like standing up and, you know, taking pride in their own roots and, you know, standing up for themselves. So we're seeing that all over the place, all over the world. I'm seeing that in my personal life and personal dynamics. You know, I work with a lot of different people each day, so I see how, you know, people are evolving creatively and, you know, expanding, you know, into the unknown. Of course, these past few months, like, it's been a definite, you know, journey into the unknown creatively. But to see people grow and evolve and actually, like, you know, take a sense of pride of that evolution, but also through surrender. So this moon, like, it's like it will oppose Pluto before this new moon happens. So this is like this evolutionary, like, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure this is, yeah, this might be the last time or the second to last time this moon's gonna oppose Pluto before Pluto goes back into Capricorn. Not 100% sure. It's very possible that this could be the last time moon opposes Pluto. So we'll have to look at that. So there's a message too here, like the moon, you know, being able to look at Pluto from the other side. It's like, this is the last time I'm going to see you over there until we get there for good. So it's been good just for a moment. Nice to see you just for a minute. I'll catch you later, buddy. Like that kind of vibe. So, you know, there's a big element of surrender, I think, that's involved with this new moon too, and letting the ego down and letting the guard down as well, you know, because I think too, with that buildup of pride and ego too, which is 100% necessary as a creator. You have to have that strong, you know, will and energy to want to create, you know, which requires a strong sense of self, which of course we've been going through and understanding a lot more with this Chiron transit. Very much so. So when it comes to our ego and our identity, you know, there is an element of surrender that we are going through still. And with this 12-degree moon, you know, this is, you know, we're stepping into a whole new portal of surrender, but also increased sense of self and strong knowing and strong will. This new moon has a very strong sense of will with Mars on Aldebaran. Like, that is very powerful. And of course, Mars is getting closer to Jupiter. So, you know, we're about to step into some very expansive territory, even with Saturn preparing for its square to with Jupiter and Mars as well, you know. So we don't want to overinflate things with this new moon. We don't want to overinflate the ego. We don't want to overinflate too many ideas, you know, with Saturn and Neptune and this 12-degree moon. You know, if we're not willing to surrender, the balloon can pop, and then it's like, fuck, you know, you got to pick up the pieces and organize it and readjust things. And of course, with Mercury retrograde in Virgo, we're going to be readjusting a lot of things anyway. So, you know, this new moon, of course, I'm kind of glad that this new moon is before the Mercury retrograde, and we're only 3 degrees away from Mercury going retrograde. So that's nice to really, because this new moon, at least before we get into the Mercury retrograde, we could see the positive outcome. Because there is going to be some challenges with Mercury going retrograde and Mercury squaring Uranus twice. You know, and that will be the second and third time, because we've already dealt with that. So, you know, this is going to be covering the last month and a lot of the difficulty and a lot of the sudden shifts and, you know, challenges that have shifted our perspectives and shifted our ways of thinking and looking at life and looking at ourselves, and definitely when it comes to our security and our financial life, and definitely our love life and our romantic life and our creative self and our raw the rawest version of ourselves. So when Mercury comes back into Leo, when it's retrograding and squares Uranus again, there's definitely a lot to uncover and unpack over the next few weeks. So in Venus this weekend, it will move into Virgo. So once again, we're going to start to feel that sense of fall come on even stronger, even though we're still in Leo season. But, it's like every time a planet moves into Virgo, it's like I can almost feel fall getting closer and closer, which I am getting more excited about, too. I guess it's about this time to get excited about fall. Everybody gonna be getting their fucking pumpkin spice lattes and shit at Starbucks. We got the 10 of Wands, so, and I think, too, there's a lot of extra weight because we have to look at Saturn with this new moon, with, being the 12-degree, the 12-degree moon, and Saturn being in Pisces. There's a lot that we've been carrying, and there's a lot that we have to let go of. And, of course, like, when we're talking about surrender, that does mean that, there's things that we have to let go of. And being able to let go of those things is surrender within itself, so whatever this new moon is calling us to let go of, we have to really decide, and maybe we won't have all the pieces yet with this new moon, because this new moon is going to be going through the full moon in Aquarius, as well, with Mercury retrograde. So by the time we get to the full moon in Aquarius, Mercury's still going to be retrograde. So we're not going to have all the answers yet, but we have to, at least with this new moon, we can see to the other side, because Mercury's not going to be retrograde yet. So at least we can have a positive perspective and feel a little bit more confident with this new moon in Leo about the future and the outcome after this Mercury retrograde of like, okay, if I can just make some small adjustments and let go of any extra baggage and let go of any extra shit that is keeping me from being my raw self and keeping me from, the person that I know I am to be. Because that's the thing, man. It's like, we've seen it with Pluto and Aquarius and people who are Leo people. Like, I've seen it all over in so many different areas in my life where it's like, it's like when people are really being genuine and being raw and being authentic, even when it's uncomfortable or whatever, it's like, with the Pluto and Aquarius, it's easy for groups of people to come together to shut this down and shut this person down and, cancel this person. This new moon is trying to reignite that confidence and reignite that sense of self and reignite that fire that can seem lost when shit gets fucking crazy. The last few months have been absolutely July. The last month has been so fucking wild. And of course, we all knew with the Mars-Uranus conjunction and the Mercury and Venus square Uranus, it was going to be weird. It was going to be crazy, and weird shit was going to happen, and weird things were going to pop out, and more weird things were going to unfold. And of course, we have a whole different understanding of the world and a whole different understanding of where we're headed, So, and it has been really intense to see how fast things can progress and evolve and open up after such a short amount of time. When you go through long periods of time, when, of course there are things that happen, but we don't see giant quantum leaps of evolution in such small time periods that often, so July was definitely one for the fucking book. So this new moon is going to kick off August really nicely, even though in August there will be some challenges with this Jupiter square Saturn, of course, and Mars as well. So we have to be as grounded as possible with these mutable squares that are building here to Saturn. And it's a test. It's a big test with this new moon being at 12 degrees, the Pisces degree, and Saturn being in Pisces. This is a test of surrender and clarity. You know, are you clear? Is your mind clear? Are we actively doing the work to open up our subconscious and clear out the subconscious and clear out the gutters? You know, Neptune in Pisces, the 12th house, rules the subconscious. So I think this new moon, we can allow it to be a filter to help us filter these subconscious layers that want to unfold. So I hope you guys have a great weekend and a lovely new moon, and it's going to be a wild August, and we're in the second half of the year, second half of 2024. So what a year it has been already. So have a good weekend, and I will see you all on Monday. Peace.